everyone, Miss Carrie here from Miss Carrie's Creations. Today I have an awesome motocross layout I created with vintage mechanical elements, grit texture paste, and chipboard pieces. I can't wait to share this one with you. I'm going to be using components from the Burnished Limitless kit for this layout. This Not Just for Boys kit includes some amazing pattern papers from Mintay and 49 and Market. It also includes a stencil, garage paper elements, puffy alpha stickers, and some charms and tags. I have also grabbed a Fun Time cardstock cut and a few items from the Essentials kit. As I create this page, I'll be adding those additional items to the design, and I'll make sure that I add a link to the kit and those items in the supply list in the description below. The memory I'm recording today is one of my brother motocross racing. I created a collage of photos on a 6x6 grid in Canva and edited a few of them into black and white. I have selected a background pattern from 49 and Market because I like the way there's a frame around the edge, but I want to cover up some of that lace pattern in the center with paper and stencils. I'm going to layer some of the Mintay garage patterns behind the photo. These have a rugged look that fits the theme of this page well. At this point, I'm just laying out some possible items onto the page so that I can get a rough estimate of where I might want to add some of the stenciling. I decided that I wanted to place the tire tread on the right side of the page because my title is going to be placed on the lower left, and I want to balance out some of that weight. To create a rough texture, I'm going to start with this Crypt Grit paste. This is a multicolor stone with bits in it that almost look like dirt. I'm just going to place this randomly throughout the stencil, and then I'm going to bring in a grave texture paste. This has a smoother consistency that looks almost like concrete, and it's going to mix in with the grit paste that I added, creating the look of the tire tread in the dirt. Whenever I'm creating mud or dirt on a page, I try to stick with gray colors instead of browns. There are some creators out there that can create the perfect muddy look, but my browns tend to end up looking a bit like pudding or muck pens on a page, so I try to avoid that whenever I can. I'm adding this tire tread design to the top and bottom of the page using a mix of both pastes and trying my best not to fill in the stencil completely. And not all of this design is going to show, so I want to make sure that I have enough along the edge to peek out once the layers are in place. Now that the pastes have dried, I'm going to layer my pattern papers on the page and add some embellishments. I have trimmed down that diamond tread pattern a bit, and I tore the edge of the black leather pattern. Around the edges, I'm brushing a midnight pigment ink to give this a bit of distressing. Both pattern papers have been placed on some foam backing sheets so that I have room for a journaling pocket and some of the layers of chipboard that I want to add. I know that I want the title in the lower left corner, so I'm going to create a cluster of embellishments on the upper right to create a nice diagonal flow pattern. For a few moments, I tried to decide how I want those chipboard pieces to sit. This is their natural untreated color as they come. I didn't want to add any gesso or color to these until I decided which pieces I wanted to use. I like to use a craft knife to assist with the removal of the chipboard pieces. These are mostly cut out of the 12x12 sheet, but there are some little attachments around the sides that keep them in place. You can just wiggle those little pieces out of place, but if I get in a hurry, I have torn or broken the intricate details on the chipboard, so I prefer to use the craft knife instead. Now that I know which pieces I want to use, I'm going to find a few more elements for the page, and that's going to help me determine what color I should paint these. In the photo, the bike is a brighter green color. I have some sage colored tickets, and these match the rest of the items really well. They're also going to help me create some visual flow on the page and draw your eye to the green bike in the photo. I'm also going to bring in a few tools, vintage icons, and some mechanical elements from the kit. Not many of these actually refer to motocross, but they do fit the design on the page really well. I also like how that nautical piece says full, standby, slow, and stop. This is a great little item to place near that starting line photo. I have a general idea of the items I want to add to the page. I want to make sure that I bring in something for journaling, and I need to get those chipboard pieces painted. In the kit, there are these little envelope pieces. They don't have any score lines, but you can basically figure out how they're supposed to be folded to create an envelope. These would be great to tuck some journaling cards into, or some photos or bits of memorabilia. I'm going to seal this closed and use it more like a pocket. I placed some double-sided tape to close the flap of this envelope, and then I grabbed a circle die and cut a notch out of the top. This circle die is about a 2.5 inch die, so there's plenty of room for a little card to go inside the pocket. I'm tucking this at the top of the page behind the pattern paper, and I'll add a little card to it later for my story. Now I need to get those chipboard pieces painted. I've decided to give them an aged steel look with some blue, black, and brown coloring. I'm starting with some pewter metallic paint. This is a lovely blue color with a silvery shine, and I'm just brushing it onto the pieces randomly. I have the chipboard laid out onto a grip mat to hold these in place. This prevents me from having to hold on to them while I paint, and it's easy to clean up. This pewter paint is available on the Not Just for Boys Kit Club website. It's part of the Burnished Essentials kit, or you can just purchase it separately if you really like this color. Once all the pieces had a coating of metallic blue, I brought in an old brush and added some blotches of black onto the chipboard. This is one of those inexpensive kid watercolor palette brushes, and it's missing bristles, it's uneven, and it barely holds paint, but it's perfect for stippling. As you watch this process, I would love it if you took a few seconds to tap that subscribe button and let me know that you're new here. If chipboard is something new to you, tell me in the comments if this is something you'd like to try, and if you're enjoying this tutorial, let me know by tapping that thumbs up icon. Once I had added all the bits of black, I came back in with the metallic blue and I blended the paints together. Blending the colors softens some of the harsher brush strokes, and it gives this that worn steel coloring. Once the paint had dried, I used a blending tool to add some espresso ink to the chipboard pieces. This covered up the white edges that I didn't paint, and it added more of a worn, rusted look to the chipboard. All of these items are going to be tucked in place in the upper right corner of the photo. There are some layers of foam in between those pattern papers to accommodate for the thickness of the chipboard. It is about 1/16 of an inch thick, but since I layered quite a few pieces on top of each other, I needed to make sure that there was room for all of those pieces. I just used liquid adhesive and some foam tape to hold these in place. While the adhesive was drying, I laid a stamping block over the top to prevent any of this from shifting. Off camera, I adhered my die cuts and ephemera in place. These included those tickets, some tools, vintage mechanical pieces, and a few little items near the title. His racing number is 830, but I didn't have a 3 in the kit, so I placed 2 of the numbers on either side as if that 3 was hidden somewhere underneath. At the base of the page, I have a license plate with blue lettering, and I want to bring more of that to the page. At this point, I'm not quite sure where, so I'm adding the words that I want to use onto some acetate. I'm spelling out the words loving life in a marine blue thicker letter, and I'm using the glassboard grid to help me with alignment and spacing. Placing this phrase onto the acetate is going to allow me to hold it over some areas on my layout where I think it should go, and I can visually see if it's a good fit. It also doesn't ruin the adhesive on the thickers, so if I change my mind, I can place them right back into the package. I do like it at the top of the page here, so I'm going to use some mint tape to transfer the letters. There are now 2 places with blue letters, so I want to bring in a third. I'm going to do this at the base of the page with the letters BRAAAP and a little hashtag. For those who race, you know why this should be on the page. At this point, I continue to debate if I should add color to that Fun Times title. I kept it white to match the matting around the photo, but I keep wondering if I should have painted it or outlined it in black. I would really like to know your opinion on this. I'm going to go work on the journaling for this page, and then I'm going to show you the finished layout. At the top of the page, I created a little card out of some rusted diamond plate pattern paper, and I added a black metal pull at the top. If you don't want to add a hidden pocket, you could write the journaling up here or place it at the base of the page under the title. I also tucked another circular mechanical element here to bring in a 5th circle to the page and fill in this space. And then I finished off the layout with some black paint splatters. All in all, this layout was a fun one to make with those vintage mechanical pieces, some chipboard, paint, and bits of ephemera. These are some great memories of my brother, and the elements in the burnished kit were a perfect complement to the photos. I especially love the addition of the grit paste tire tread in the background. That's a stencil I'll be using more in the future. If you're one who enjoys pinning photos to inspiration boards, I have added still shots of this layout on the Not Just for Boys Kit Club blog and on my website for you to use. If you would like to see more ideas for using this kit, you can join the Not Just for Boys Kit Club community on Facebook and see even more designs. I want to thank you for joining me for another scrapbook project. If you have any questions about this design or the supplies listed below, feel free to post that in the comments. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.